shows that like consumers are definitely willing to like take part in that. So how would you like encourage other restaurants to do what you guys are doing?
Well, Susan and I talk about our sustainable seafood commitment a lot. We talk about it every chance we get. So if I was doing an event in Benton Harbor, Michigan, because I was born and raised in Michigan, but I flew all the way to Michigan to do an event there. And I partnered with the Alaska Seafood Marketing Institute, who sent fish there to meet me. And then I served Alaskan seafood that was sustainably caught, black cod, and I talked about that with everybody who was there. So that's it. People get really excited about learning. Everybody wants to learn things. We hand out our pocket guides from the Monterey Bay Aquarium to every single table at every event we do, and we encourage people whenever we get a chance to talk to other restaurateurs that or other restaurants that they might be eating at, and encourage them to use sustainable seafood. And then I talk about it with other chef friends that I have, and you know, the restaurant community is a really tight community of people who share information, are really supportive of each other. So if I see somebody has an endangered, you know, tuna on their menu, I might say, you know, are you aware of this program? Because you should really start hopping on their website every once in a while and looking at, you know, what you might do to just clean up those practices a little bit. And I share the fact that it's been so beneficial to our company.
So you mentioned that there was like a bit of resistance from your staff. What would your advice be to restaurants then, like to kind of overcome that?
Well, to other restaurants, I would say take one step at a time. I mean, we did the whole sustainable seafood thing in one fell swoop, and I think the staff was a little bit alarmed because we came back so passionate. But I think, you know, if you did things, you know, over a course of 3 to 6 months instead of just all at once, that helps. But we've also, it's interesting, that experience with the aquarium really has triggered a lot of other kinds of things. Like we've started a new part of our menu that's called Good for the Planet, Good for You. It's 80% plant-based and 20% protein-based foods. So if you're trying to eat in a sustainable way for the whole planet, not just talking about the oceans now, but talking about, you know, greenhouse gases and people eating too much protein, too much basically, you know, beef and pork and chicken, then you can choose one of those things on the menu that's 80-20, and that's what I try to eat at home, and that's how that all started, is, you know, like thinking about our food choices in a bigger way. Every single time we order at a restaurant or walk into the grocery store and buy food, we're making, you know, a conscious statement about what we believe is, you know, the right thing, and so there's all kinds of little trickle down things that have happened. The polystyrene ban in Santa Monica, we were one of the first restaurants to jump onto that and stop using any polystyrene in our to-go containers. We do a lot of to-go business out in Santa Monica at the Border Grill. So not only with the seafood program, but with every program, if you just break it down and do one thing at a time, like, you know, decide, okay, we're going to do all of our light bulbs are going to be, you know, the green light bulbs, or, you know, 2010 is going to be the year that we're going to change out our dishwashers so they're not using too much power and too much water, and we can do a low flow, low, you know, voltage. Well, I think for students, first of all, learn how to cook your own fish. 70% of the fish consumed in this country is consumed in the restaurants. And so you have to be really vocal. Everyone should be very vocal when they're eating out, and only order sustainable seafood. Make sure that the chef and the management of the restaurant are talking about that they know about it. And it's interesting, there are even some of the cafeterias on campus at colleges run by Compass or Bon Appetit Management, they have made the sustainable seafood commitment also. So you can get, you know, it's not something you only need to ask a fancy restaurant about. You can ask any food service about whether they're aware and using sustainable seafood. And then learn to cook it at home, and go to the fish market and get into all the different exciting kinds of fish. And also, if you think you don't like a certain kind of fish. This is what I always tell my kids, and I have a kid in college already. Just make yourself try it again. You know, don't. Your first impression is one thing. Like, for example, sardines. They have kind of a strong flavor. They're very plentiful. They're incredibly delicious. If you've ever had them when they're really prepared properly, and they're very high in omega-3s, are really good for you. So if you think you don't like something, you know, don't put it in jail. Just think, okay, that's not my favorite, but every time I run across it, or if someone at the table orders it, I'm going to force myself to eat one bite. And eventually you will find yourself liking what you thought you didn't like.
Okay. You guys have any more questions? Thank you so much for your time.